Welcome to RichTrybe. We're jumping right in today because we are tackling a massive, literally life-changing question. What are the common financial literacy gaps among young adults? Look, we're going to break down the exact mindset shifts you absolutely need to make to go from just scraping by or earning a decent living to actually building long-term generational wealth. I am so ready for this, Richard. But I think a lot of us just assume the only real gap is not making enough money, right? The logic is you get a bigger salary, you automatically get richer. It's just simple math. You would totally think so, Rachel. But let me pose this to you. Why does earning a six-figure salary often lead to having less? This is a huge, high-stakes gap that keeps so many incredibly hardworking young adults from ever sniffing true financial freedom.
Wait, okay, I definitely have to challenge you on that one. How on earth can high earners possibly be broke? If you're bringing in 100 grand or more a year, shouldn't wealth just be a total guarantee?
And that right there is the exact assumption that creates the trap. Earning a massive amount of money does not automatically equal keeping a massive amount of money. So that brings us to gap number one, the high income trap. We really have to separate income from wealth. Income is just the cash flowing into your bank account. It gives you choices today to, mostly fund your ego, like buying high-end luxury items just to look rich to your friends. Oh, for sure. I see that all the time. Someone gets a promotion and immediately goes out and leases a luxury car they can barely make the payments on. Precisely. But true wealth is what you actually keep. The truly wealthy are focused on spending their net income to quietly acquire hidden assets. They're building actual financial freedom behind the scenes rather than putting on a show. They don't care about boasting about their gross earnings. Their entire focus is on growing their high net worth. Okay, that makes total sense. But what about when a bonus hits or a decent paycheck and it just vanishes? Why does it never seem to last?
You are definitely not alone in feeling that way. It really comes down to our second gap, the consumer versus investor mindset.
To fix this, we have to completely redefine what money actually is. Wealthy people do not look at a dollar bill as just cash to spend right now. They see every single dollar as an army of seeds.
An army of seeds? Wow, that's a really interesting way to frame it.
It changes everything, doesn't it? Those seeds are meant to be planted so they can grow, compound, and eventually replace your own physical labor down the line. If you have a consumer mindset, you think money itself is the end goal, something you just trade for a new liability. But wealthy people realize money is just a tool. It's a seed that can multiply over and over if you plant it in the right soil. Let's look at a real-world scenario. Let's say you just got a surprise $1,000 bonus. If you're operating with a consumer mindset, what flashes through your mind? Honestly, I'd probably start picturing a weekend getaway, maybe some new shoes or upgrading my phone. Just instant gratification. Exactly. Fleeting pleasure and a quick lifestyle upgrade. But an investor's mind triggers a completely different cascade of thoughts. They look at that exact same $1,000 and instantly see compound interest. They see an army of seeds going straight to work for them, buying back their future time and funding their retirement. Okay, Richard, let's be super realistic here for a second. It's just $1,000. Does hoarding a mere $1,000 right now really move the needle that much? It kind of feels like a drop in the bucket.
Let me mathematically prove to you just how much it matters. $4,660. If an investor takes that $1,000 and drops it into an index fund compounding at an average of 8% a year, in 20 years, it grows to exactly that amount.
Wait, really? So when I go buy a $1,000 phone, I'm actually giving up almost $5,000 of my future money?
Absolutely. And that is the true hidden cost of impulse purchases. You aren't just spending $1,000 today, you are literally spending your future freedom.
Now let's transition right into gap number 3, breaking the employee mindset.
Hold up, though. Doesn't everyone get wealthy by just putting their head down, grinding, and working longer hours?
That is probably the biggest myth out there. If you only ever trade your hours for dollars, your earning potential is strictly capped, simply because there are only 24 hours in a day. The legendary Jim Rohn hit the nail on the head when he said, "They don't sell their time, they sell systems, value, and ownership." The wealthy completely detach their income from the clock. They build or buy streams of income that keep flowing even when they're sound asleep. They do the work once and they get paid many, many times over.
So how do we actually break out of this cycle? Let me give you a really practical, actionable formula. I call it the 10% lifestyle cap rule. Okay, I'm definitely taking notes on this one. How does this work when I get my next raise? Step 1, let's say you get a cool $1,000 raise. Step 2, Instead of instantly inflating your lifestyle by $1,000, which is honestly what 99% of people do, you aggressively cap your lifestyle increase at just 10%. So you only allow yourself $100 of fun new spending. Step 3. You take the remaining $900 and immediately invest it into income-producing assets. If you do this consistently, you will build incredible wealth.
But what should I actually be doing with that retained $900? Where exactly is it supposed to go?
Which perfectly leads us into gap number 4, buying assets, not liabilities.
Leaving all your money sitting in a savings account won't build lasting wealth because inflation just quietly eats away its purchasing power. You have to convert your cash into tangible value. The wealthy keep their value in assets, not in cash, and definitely not in liabilities. You see, the average person thinks the money itself is the asset, but fiat currency is literally just a medium of exchange. The wealthy actually get rid of their cash as fast as they safely can by turning it into hard assets that appreciate over time and spit out cash flow. So, to break it down simply, a liability takes money out of my pocket, but an asset puts money into it. You absolutely nailed it. A fancy car depreciates the second you drive it off the lot. It's a liability. An investment property or an index fund appreciates and actually pays you. Those are assets. Let's quickly run through the specific asset classes the wealthy actually use. First step is real estate, but you absolutely have to understand the market booms and busts. Second, stocks. You need to study the market and broad economic trends. Third, precious metals like gold, silver, and platinum, which hold tremendous intrinsic utility value. And finally, collectibles, but keep in mind those are only valuable as long as someone else agrees to pay for them.
It sounds like you can't just blindly throw your money at these things, though. You really need to know what you're doing.
100%. Education and market expertise are non-negotiable before you invest a dime in any of these. Investing blindly isn't investing, it's just gambling. You've got to dedicate a portion of your time and income to building your own financial intelligence first. Okay, before we dive into the final and honestly the most difficult financial gap to cross, I want to take a quick second. If you are getting value out of this conversation and you are truly ready to stop trading your precious time for money, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the RichTrybe channel, like, comment, and share. It helps us keep bringing you these exact strategies you need to build real wealth. All right, let's get into our final and most critical foundational shift, the power of delayed gratification. We live in this crazy world of buy now, pay later, and instant dopamine hits. But look at the brutal mathematical reality of giving in to that urge. Imagine a 22-year-old who starts investing just $200 a month. Then, imagine a delayed starter who waits until they are 32 to invest that exact same amount. By age 65, the 22-year-old accumulates a substantially larger mountain of wealth.
Just from a 10-year head start? The difference is really that massive?
It's totally staggering. It proves that the difference in wealth isn't just about your income size or how much of a genius you are. The hidden superpower here is time. Time is what allows compounding to do all the heavy lifting for you. Instant gratification gives you buy now, pay later debt, a quick hit of dopamine, and eventually total financial panic when emergencies hit because you built zero buffer.
Right, but doesn't delayed gratification just mean living like a total hermit? Just saying no to absolutely everything fun in life? Not at all.
Delayed gratification is not about miserable deprivation. It's actually about saying yes to having the ultimate flexibility later on. It creates future options. It means you have the power to change your career if you want to, or handle a massive medical emergency without absolute panic. You are simply trading a tiny, fleeting pleasure today for absolute, rock-solid financial freedom tomorrow. Which brings us to our final thought for today. I really want you to ask yourself this deeply provocative question. Is your paycheck funding a fleeting moment or a future legacy?
Wow, that really forces you to take a hard look at every single dollar you spend today, doesn't it?
It sure does. Wealth is not just measured in the dollars in your bank account. It is measured in the legacy you leave behind and the absolute freedom you build. So take control of your seeds, break out of that employee mindset, and start planting for your future today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.